On Clara's birthday, her mother, the only family she had, passed away. Her husband, Julian, didn't celebrate with her, nor did he attend her mother's funeral. He was at the airport, picking up his first love. After placing her mother's urn, Clara received a call from her aunt. Clara, now that your mother is gone, I can't bear the thought of you being all alone in the country. Why don't you come live with me abroad? Clara was silent for a long moment, as if making a monumental decision. Then, with a solemn weight in her voice, she said, "Okay, really? Oh, that's wonderful news." Her aunt's voice was filled with joy. "But I heard you got married. Would your husband be willing to move abroad with you?" At this, Clara laughed. "Don't worry, we're getting a divorce soon." Before she could hang up, a commotion erupted at the door. Julian was back. Clara lifted her eyes to the doorway but didn't move, to greet him as she always did. Just then, Julian's sister, Gigi, burst in, her face alight with triumph. "My brother brought Isabel back. You, the imposter, are about to be kicked out." Clara frowned slightly. "Imposter?" Gigi's smirk widened. "You'll understand when you see Isabel." As if on cue, Julian walked in with a woman named Isabel. A driver followed, struggling with an armload of luggage. In Isabel's hands was a massive bouquet of red roses, so bright and dazzling they made Clara's eyes sting. He even had time to buy her roses. In 5 years of marriage, he had never given her a single flower. "Isabel just got back to the country and hasn't found a place yet. She'll be staying with us for a while," Julian said, his eyes glued to Isabel, not even glancing at Clara. "Get the guest room next to mine ready. Isabel can stay there." It wasn't a request, it was an order, as if they weren't husband and wife. But she was merely a maid in this house. A guest was moving in, and not only was her consent not required, but her labor was. "Julian, I can clean it myself. We shouldn't trouble Clara," Isabel said, looking up, and for the first time, Clara saw her face. She froze, as if petrified, unable to move. In that instant, Clara understood what Gigi meant by imposter. Isabel's face was strikingly similar to her own. However, Clara's features were softer, her temperament more gentle. Isabel's eyes held the distinct arrogance of a pampered princess. "So that's what it was." Clara suddenly smiled. As she laughed, she subtly wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. So that was it. She finally understood. She had always been unlucky. Fate had never been kind to her. Even her beloved mother had died on her birthday. She had often wondered how a jinx like her could have been so fortunate. To be noticed by a tycoon's heir after a chance encounter. To successfully marry him. So that's what it was. It all made sense now. She was just a substitute. "Are you crying?" "Seriously," Gigi sneered. "Isabel is only staying for a couple of days. Is that worth crying over?" "Clara, you're so petty." Clara quickly shook her head. "No, it has nothing to do with Miss Jean." But before she could finish, Isabel's eyes reddened. "Forget it. I should just go. I don't want to cause trouble between you two." A storm cloud instantly gathered on Julian's face. "You're not going anywhere," he said, blocking Isabel's path. Then, in a tone that permitted no argument, he commanded, "Mr. Davis, take the luggage upstairs." The driver looked up, glanced uneasily at Clara, and didn't move. Seeing this, Julian turned his cold gaze on Clara. "Do you have a problem with it?" he asked, his tone laced with a threat. Clara continued to shake her head, her eyes red as she smiled. "No problem at all. I'd be happy to have Miss Jean stay with us." Of course she had no problem. What objections could a person who was about to leave for good possibly have? She would abdicate her position with dignity, leave forever, and never return. Julian stared at her, his eyes cold and deep, before letting out a sudden, cruel laugh. "Since you have no objections, then you can help Mr. Davis carry Isabel's luggage upstairs." He was likely punishing her for embarrassing him in front of his first love. He wanted to humiliate her. Clara's face paled slightly, but she quickly smiled again. "Of course." With that, she turned and began helping the driver with the bags. She was so obedient, so compliant. Logically, Julian should have been satisfied, but for some reason, watching her carry the luggage upstairs so naturally, an inexplicable irritation flared within him. The room was quickly prepared. As Clara was about to leave, Isabel came in. "Clara, thank you for taking me in," she said, grabbing Clara's hand, her brow furrowed into a look of pitiful helplessness. "If it weren't for you and Julian, I don't know where I would go." As Isabel's hand turned, a dazzling light pricked Clara's eyes. On Isabel's ring finger was a ring identical to her own wedding band. No, not identical. The diamond on Isabel's ring was bigger, brighter, more brilliant. It made her own wedding ring look like a cheap imitation. even though she had already decided to leave. A sharp, uncontrollable pain pierced Clara's heart. So, even her engagement ring was a cheap imitation. A substitute gets an imitation. How fitting. Just then, the doorbell rang. A delivery man arrived with a huge cake. Wow, who ordered a cake? Gigi exclaimed. Brother, did you get this for Isabel? Isabel's birthday is next week. Julian replied without looking up. But I did order a cake for her in advance. Did the bakery get the date wrong? Amid the confusion, the delivery man called out. Is there a Clara here? The recipient is Clara. The cake is from your aunt. She wanted me to tell you that she knows you're having a difficult day, but she doesn't want you to be lost in sorrow. She is so glad you came into this world. Happy birthday. The living room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at Clara. For once, a flicker of guilt crossed Julian's face. He said awkwardly, It's your birthday today. Why didn't you tell me? Isabel's birthday was next week. Yet he had already arranged her gift and cake. But his own wife's birthday, he had completely forgotten. Then again, why bother remembering such details for a mere substitute? Oh, so it's my birthday. I'd forgotten myself, Clara said, smoothly diffusing the awkwardness. I can't believe Aunt Evelyn remembered. I'll have to call and thank her later. And while she was at it, she'd hurry along the process of going abroad. She wanted to leave as soon as possible. Julian, that's so thoughtless of you. How could you forget your own wife's birthday? Isabel's tone was a strange mix of scolding and coquettishness. Clara, don't be angry. Oh, right. When Julian picked me up, he gave me a gift. It's a beautiful diamond necklace. Why don't we just say this necklace is Julian's birthday gift to you? With that, Isabel removed the diamond necklace from her neck and handed it to Clara. With a smile, Clara, happy birthday. The necklace was stunning. A rare red diamond set in heart-shaped platinum, symbolizing a one of a kind love. Unfortunately, that one of a kind love wasn't for her. No, thank you, Clara said, shaking her head with a smile. That's a gift from Julian to you. How could I take what's meant for someone else? What wasn't hers, she wouldn't take. She wouldn't take the necklace, and she wouldn't take the man who gave it. What's with the sarcastic tone? Julian suddenly exploded. So I was busy with work and forgot your birthday. Is it that big of a deal? Do you have to be like this? Clara didn't understand what she had done wrong now. She hadn't cried or thrown a tantrum. She had been smiling the entire time, speaking politely and appropriately. Why was he still not satisfied? I wasn't being sarcastic, Clara said, lowering her eyes to hide her exhaustion. Julian, what do you want me to do? Take the necklace. If you want me to take it, then I'll take it. As she spoke, she actually took the necklace and sincerely thanked Isabel. Miss Jean, thank you for the gift. As a substitute, Clara felt she had been obedient enough, cooperative enough, and had given Julian enough face, but for some reason, after she took the necklace, Julian's anger only grew. Clara, you are being completely unreasonable. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. She refuses the necklace. He yells at her. She accepts the necklace. He still yells at her. And so Clara understood. It had nothing to do with the necklace. No matter what she did, he would never be satisfied. The one who is favored can do no wrong. The one who is not loved is always at fault. The birthday cake from her aunt was enormous, but no one was there to share it with her. Not wanting her aunt's kindness to go to waste, Clara forced herself to eat the entire 5-tiered cake alone. By the end, she was so full it was painful, and she spent half the night throwing up in the bathroom. How pathetic. She sat slumped on the bathroom floor, tears streaming down her face as she laughed silently. When she was a child, they had no money for birthday cakes. She could only stand outside, staring through the glass of the bakery window. Now, she finally had more cake than she could ever eat, but it only brought her stomach pain and nausea. Some things, if you can't have them when you want them, lose all meaning when you finally get them later. That evening, Clara packed her things and moved out of the master bedroom. The original had returned. The substitute needed to be self-aware and stop sharing a room with Julian, lest the white moonlight see and become upset. As she was moving her things, Isabel came out of the room next door. She was wearing a sexy, short slip dress that barely covered anything, revealing her shoulders and long legs. Clara, don't misunderstand. Julian isn't avoiding the master bedroom to upset you. He's just still angry, Isabel said in a sweet, gentle voice. Don't worry, we didn't do anything. We were just playing cards. Clara smiled. You don't need to explain to me. Even if they had, it didn't matter. The divorce papers were already drafted. She would find a chance tomorrow to have Julian sign them. Clara, you really have misunderstood, Isabel said, biting her lip. a wronged look on her face. Julian and I. Before Isabel could continue her excuses, Clara cut her off with a smile. I know, you and Julian were childhood sweethearts, very close. Now that you're finally back after so many years, you must have a lot to talk about, so please, catch up. I won't disturb you. With that, Clara turned and left, leaving Isabel standing there, staring after her with a thoughtful, meaningful gaze. Julian stayed in Isabel's room all night. Clara hadn't paid any attention, but the housekeeper, Mrs. Davis, pulled her into the back garden first thing in the morning, to mysteriously deliver this vital intelligence. Ma'am, you need to be careful, Mrs. Davis said with great concern. That little vixen, Miss Jean, she's clearly here to seduce the master. You should have seen what she was wearing last night. My goodness, I couldn't even look. Clara smiled faintly. You're overthinking it. Miss Jean and Julian grew up together. He values her very much. You mustn't speak ill of her again. Julian will be upset if he hears. Mrs. Davis was stunned. She looked at Clara with a strange expression and asked hesitantly, Ma'am, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me, Clara said with a smile. I'm fine. The smile was like a mask welded to her face. She would keep smiling. She wouldn't cry again. No, something is very wrong with you today, Mrs. Davis insisted. You used to call the master affectionately, Julian, but now, you're calling him by his full name, Julian Fu. Clara lowered her long, thick lashes and said nothing. In truth, when she and Julian first got together, she never called him Julian. She had always called him Mr. Fu, like his friends did. It was later, the first time they were intimate, he had pushed her onto the bed, blindfolded her with a black cloth, and as he moved, he had pulled her hair and forced her to call him Julian. She had always believed Julian was their special name, a term of endearment only she could use. She had secretly treasured that sweetness for a long time. It wasn't until yesterday, when she heard Isabel call him Julian, that she finally understood. No wonder he had blindfolded her that night, because her eyes were the one feature that didn't resemble Isabel's, but her voice was similar, so he made her say his name, over and over, until she passed out. Mrs. Davis, the most important thing about working in a wealthy household like this is to work hard and talk less, Clara said, patting the housekeeper's shoulder in a gentle warning. From now on, don't say anything bad about Miss Jean. She was leaving soon. Isabel would take her place as the lady of the house. If Mrs. Davis offended her, she would surely suffer later. After advising Mrs. Davis, Clara went upstairs, retrieved the divorce papers, and went to Julian's study. Julian was working. Seeing her, he let out a cold snort. Realized you were wrong. Yes, Clara said flatly. If he said she was wrong, then she was wrong. There were only a few days left. She couldn't be bothered to argue with him. If you'd just figured it out sooner, none of this would have happened. You had to make a scene, he said irritably. With a cold face, he took a small, exquisitely crafted gift box from his drawer and tossed it to her. A make-up birthday present. Open it. Clara wanted to say it wasn't necessary, but her intuition told her that if she did, Julian would fly into another rage. She still needed him to sign the divorce papers. It was best not to provoke him now, so she silently accepted the gift and said nothing. Just then, Julian's phone rang. Clara inadvertently glanced at the screen. It was Isabel. Julian looked at Clara, then took a pair of earbuds from his drawer and put them on. He answered the call, and a smile immediately bloomed in his cold eyes. His tone softened, nothing like the icy voice he always used with her. Clara handed him the divorce papers. Sign this. Julian signed it without even looking. Then he continued his cheerful phone call with Isabel. Clara frowned, hesitating. Aren't you going to look at it? No need, Julian said impatiently. Isn't it about getting foreign experts for your mother's treatment? Just handle it. If there are any documents I need to sign, give them to my assistant, and he'll forward them to me. Don't call me unless it's important. Do you have any idea how many important calls I missed last time? Because of your constant interruptions. Clara's mother had passed away a week ago. She had late-stage brain cancer. Despite Julian arranging for her to be in the best hospital in the country, her condition worsened daily. Her lucid moments grew shorter, her confusion longer. Most of the time, she didn't even recognize Clara. The doctor had said they couldn't delay any longer. Surgery was necessary, or her mother might not last a week. Clara didn't know what to do. She called Julian, hoping for his advice. He hung up on her 3 times. The 4th time he answered, it was only to berate her. Why are you calling for no reason? I'm busy. Stop causing trouble. The doctor, knowing Clara was the young madam of the Fu family, had suggested that Julian arrange for foreign specialists to consult with the local team. This would increase the surgery's success rate. Clara thanked the doctor, then sat in the hospital corridor, phone in hand, counting the minutes until 6 o'clock. That was Julian's usual time to leave work. She mustered her courage and called him again. He didn't answer. She assumed he was working late. It was fine. She could wait. This time she waited longer, until midnight, but the call wouldn't go through. It took Clara a moment to realize what had happened. Julian had blocked her. For the next week, Julian didn't come home. He didn't answer her calls or reply to her messages. And just like that, her mother missed the optimal window for surgery. Was Julian really that busy? So busy that, in the same week he blocked her, he had time to pick out a welcome home gift for Isabel and order her a birthday cake. Clara couldn't let herself think about it any longer. She closed her eyes, pressed down on her trembling hands, and, holding the divorce papers, turned and left the study. Part 3, The Unraveling. At lunch, Mrs. Davis had prepared a feast, but Gigi, who had come over to freeload, started picking fights before she even sat down. Clara, didn't you used to do the cooking? Why aren't you cooking today? Gigi deliberately provoked. Is it because Isabel is here now? You think you're too good to cook for her? At these words, Julian's face darkened. He stared at Clara with icy eyes, waiting for her answer. How ironic. As his wife, she didn't even have the right to refuse to cook for his first love. The dishes I'm good at are all quite spicy, Clara said, her eyes downcast. Miss Jean prefers milder flavors. I was afraid she wouldn't like my cooking. Then couldn't you have just not added chili? Gigi was still unsatisfied. Gigi, don't be like that. Clara is your sister-in-law. You should respect her, Isabel interjected, playing the peacemaker. Besides, I think Mrs. Davis's cooking is delicious. Halfway through her sentence, Isabel suddenly frowned and clutched her stomach, a look of pain on her face. Izzy, what's wrong? Julian exclaimed, rushing to her side immediately. Julian, my stomach hurts so much, Isabel said, her face pale. She collapsed into his arms, looking fragile and beautiful. Julian frowned. Why would your stomach hurt all of a sudden? Beside them, Gigi had a sudden realization. She pointed at Clara. Ah, I know. No wonder you wouldn't cook. You poisoned Isabel's food. You have a guilty conscience. So you deliberately stayed out of the kitchen all day. The accusation came out of nowhere. Clara was exasperated. If I haven't been in the kitchen all day, how would I have had the chance to poison Miss Jean? Just because you didn't go into the kitchen doesn't mean you couldn't have bribed someone in the kitchen to do it for you. Gigi sneered. I saw you and Mrs. Davis whispering suspiciously in the garden this morning. I wonder what you were plotting. Now that I think about it, you must have been planning to poison Isabel then. Right. Good heavens, miss, you can't just say things like that. Mrs. Davis cried, defending herself. I'm just a housekeeper. Why would I dare to poison anyone? Then what were you and Clara whispering about in the garden this morning? Gigi pressed relentlessly. Mrs. Davis glanced at Clara, unsure of what to say. With Julian and Isabel right there, she couldn't exactly repeat what they had discussed. In front of the subject of their conversation, can't answer, can you? You two are definitely up to something, Gigi said triumphantly. Isabel, do you want me to call the police for you? Poisoning food, that's practically attempted murder. At the mention of the police, Isabel's expression grew even more pained. She gripped Julian's hand and cried, Julian, it hurts so much. Am I going to die? I'm so scared. Seeing Isabel in such agony, Julian couldn't be bothered with anything else. He swept her into his arms and rushed towards the door. Get the car. We're going to the hospital. Now. Before leaving, he shot a glare at Clara. I'll deal with you when I get back. Mrs. Davis was terrified. The woman, in her 50s, began to cry. Madam, what are we going to do? I didn't poison Miss Jean. I really didn't. I'm just here to work and save for my retirement. I would never commit a crime. Clara knew it wasn't Mrs. Davis, but Mrs. Davis was the one who cooked the food. If she didn't blame someone else, Julian would never let her go. When Julian gets back, if he questions you, just say I made you do it, Clara said calmly. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Put all the blame on me. How can I do that? Mrs. Davis panicked. Madam, we didn't do anything. We can't admit to it. Clara gave a bitter smile. She had seen clearly these past few days. Admitting it or not didn't matter. Julian had already decided she was guilty. Whether she confessed or not, the outcome would be the same. In that case, It was better to sacrifice one to save the other. Help Mrs. Davis escape blame, and not let an innocent person get dragged into this. Do as I say. Clara's tone was uncharacteristically firm. Don't worry, I have my own plans. Nothing will happen. They spent the entire night at the hospital. It wasn't until dawn that Julian returned, driving Isabel. He came back looking for a reckoning. Clara, you're clever. I'll give you that. You knew Izzy was allergic to peanuts, so you ground them into a powder and sprinkled it in her porridge. Do you have any idea that if I hadn't gotten her to the hospital in time, she could have died? Mrs. Davis confessed. She said you ordered her to do it. Do you have anything to say for yourself? I'll give you a chance. Speak. Why did you do it? Clara looked up and glanced at Isabel. Isabel's face was deathly pale. She lay on the bed, looking frail. Clara, I don't believe you would hurt me. You must have had your reasons. Right. Clara smiled. She looked directly into Isabel's eyes and said calmly, thank you for your trust. I did not harm you, and I don't know why Mrs. Davis would frame me. Why don't we call the police? Let them investigate properly. My words may not be trustworthy, but the results of a police investigation certainly will be. After Clara suggested calling the police, the reactions of Isabel and Julian were very interesting. Isabel's gaze darted away, while Julian erupted in a rage. Clara, do you think I wouldn't dare to call the police because I can't bear to part with you? No, Julian, I know you can bear it. Clara thought silently, but your precious first love won't let you, because she knows her little tricks might fool you, but they won't fool the police. What if the police discovered she had sprinkled the peanut powder herself? How embarrassing would that be? Sure enough, the next second, Clara heard Isabel's sweet voice. Julian, don't be like this. Clara is your wife. After all, you can't send her to prison because of me. Besides, I'm fine now, aren't I? And even if you don't consider Clara, you have to consider the Fu family, the young madam of the Fu family in prison. If that gets out, it will definitely affect the company's stock. Persuaded by Isabel, Julian finally suppressed his anger and didn't call the police. But while the police might not be called, punishment was necessary. Clara, Izzy is kind-hearted and doesn't want to press charges, but that doesn't mean you won't pay a price, Julian said, his hand closing around Clara's throat. Each word was like venom. The pain Izzy suffered tonight, you will suffer every bit of it. Dr. Jiang, bring the medicine you prepared. Julian gripped Clara's chin and forced a bottle of an unknown liquid down her throat. The medicine took effect quickly. Clara broke out in a cold sweat, clutching her stomach, writhing and twitching on the floor. Several times, the pain was so intense she nearly passed out, and Julian stood over her, watching her suffer on the floor with cold eyes, not even a flicker of emotion on his face. It hurts, doesn't it? This is how much it hurt Izzy when she drank the porridge you poisoned, Julian said coldly. Remember this pain. Only when you remember the pain will you learn to change. Clara bit down hard on the back of her hand, breaking the skin, drawing blood, but she didn't make a sound. She didn't scream. Don't worry, Julian, as you wished. I will remember this pain forever. This is what it feels like to love you. This is the consequence of loving you. I've learned my lesson. I won't make the same mistake again. Clara was in agony for an entire day. It wasn't until late at night that the medicine's effects finally wore off. She was drenched in a cold sweat, her face ashen, completely drained of color. Just then, her aunt called. She forced herself to gather her strength and answered. Hello, Clara, it's me. Her aunt's gentle, smiling voice came through the phone. I've handled all your paperwork for coming abroad. When are you planning to come? I'll book your ticket. Lying on the floor, Clara's eyelashes fluttered. She wanted to leave at dawn. She couldn't stand this place for another minute, but after a full day of torment, she felt like a puppet with its strings cut, completely devoid of energy. She could barely lift a finger. In this state, she could hardly make it to the airport, and if her aunt saw her like this, she would be heartbroken. So Clara said, the day after tomorrow, in the evening, my divorce is finalized here. I just need to pack and I can go. All right, I'll book you a flight for 7 p.m. the day after tomorrow. Just bring your ID and passport. You can pick up the ticket at the airport. After a full day and night of rest, Clara finally regained some strength. Today was the day she would leave, a 7 p.m. flight. Once she was on that plane, she would never come back. As dawn broke, Clara got out of bed. She packed up all her belongings and donated them to an orphanage. Among the donated items were all the gifts Julian had given her over the years. Clothes, bags, jewelry. She didn't even keep the wedding ring he gave her. Anything valuable was donated to charity. Anything worthless was burned in a fire. If she was going to start over, She would start fresh. She wouldn't take a single thing of his with her. After packing, it was already afternoon. Clara checked her phone. 3 p.m. 4 more hours until her flight departed. Just as Clara was about to change and head to the airport, Gigi blocked her path. Clara, what are you still standing around for? Let's go. Hurry up and get your makeup done with me. Makeup? Clara frowned. Why? Stop playing dumb, Gigi said sourly. Isn't today your wedding anniversary with my brother? He said that when you married him, my parents didn't approve, so you never had a proper wedding, just got the license. He's felt guilty about it all this time. And lately, with all the drama with Isabel, he knows he's neglected you, so he wants to throw you a wedding ceremony for your 5th anniversary. A lie. It had to be a lie, Clara thought. This was definitely a trap. They had been married for 5 years, and he had never once mentioned a make-up wedding. Why would he do it now, after Isabel's return? What? You don't believe me? Gigi glanced at her, her eyes filled with scorn. Then call my brother and ask him. You think I want to deal with this? If my brother hadn't forced me, I wouldn't be bothered with you. Of course, Clara didn't believe her, and she had no desire to call Julian. Seeing her stand there like a block of wood, Gigi lost her patience. She dialed Julian's number and tossed the phone to Clara. Clara, I know about your mother. You've been through a lot lately. Let me make it up to you today. A lie. It had to be a lie. Julian would never speak to her in such a gentle tone. Everything is arranged. Just go with Gigi and get changed. I'll see you at the wedding. Lies. Lies. All of it lies. Clara's body began to tremble uncontrollably. What was Julian planning? Why was he throwing her a wedding? What was his real motive? Even though she was sure it was all fake, even though she knew, with painful clarity, that she was the one who was not loved, but the moment she put on the wedding dress Julian had custom made for her, Clara felt herself waver, just for a second. That's how people are. Even when you know something is impossible, you can't help but hope. What if this time, it's real? I've been so unlucky for so long. Maybe it's my turn to win. I'll just go and see, Clara thought. There's still time. Anyway, with the heart of a gambler, she went to what she knew was a 1 in a million chance of a wedding. At 4 o'clock, her makeup was done. At 5 o'clock, she arrived at the venue. Clara pushed open the doors to the grand ballroom, and a bucket of cold water rained down from above. Ha 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 ha. Laughter echoed around her. Behind her, Gigi was laughing so hard tears streamed down her face. Clara, you idiot. Did you really think my brother was going to give you a wedding? Ha 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 ha. You moron. Today is Isabel's birthday. This isn't the wedding banquet you've been dreaming of. It's Isabel's birthday party. The hall was filled with people, all likely there to celebrate Isabel's birthday. Isabel was there too, also wearing a wedding dress, identical in style to the one Clara was wearing, except hers wasn't soaked. It was still poofy and beautiful. This dress was actually custom, made by my brother for Isabel. Isn't it beautiful? My brother is planning to propose to her today. Clara, my brother and Isabel are the real true love. You're just a pathetic clown in their legendary love story. If you know what's good for you, you'll get lost on your own. It'll be even more humiliating if my brother has to throw you out. Clara reached up and touched her face, only then realizing she was crying. What was she crying for? Hadn't she known it was fake all along? Clara, you really are a fool. You've been played by fate so many times. How could you fall for it again? You knew it was fake, yet you still came. What were you trying to prove? How pathetic you are. Clara turned and fled, escaping the suffocating place. She hailed a taxi and rushed to the airport as fast as she could. She ran into a restroom and began tearing at the wedding dress. Off, get it all off. This dress was so tight, so suffocating. Help me, help me, help me. She couldn't take it anymore. This suffocating nightmare was choking her. She had to break free from this damned dress. Leave this place, leave forever, and never look back. Finally, under Clara's frantic tearing, the wedding dress fell to pieces. Clara threw the white gown onto the dirty airport bathroom floor, then pulled a long, black slip dress from her bag and changed. Her phone was vibrating madly. Clara pulled it out and saw that Julian had called her many times. It seemed he had been calling her non-stop since she got into the taxi, over 30 times, but she had been in such a state of collapse, she hadn't noticed. The phone was still vibrating. Julian was still calling. Clara took out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and threw it away. It was almost 7 o'clock. She got her ticket, passed through security, and successfully boarded the plane. The moment before takeoff, she deleted all of her social media accounts. A flight attendant came by and reminded her to turn off her phone. She smiled and nodded, the screen went black. At the same moment, the plane took off. Clara leaned back in her seat and slowly closed her eyes. Julian, I won't say goodbye, because I hope we never see each other again. After Clara fled the ballroom in a state of collapse, Julian walked in, holding a large bouquet of roses. Gigi, why are you the only one here? Where's your sister? In-law? Julian asked, confused. Didn't I tell you to take her to get changed into her wedding dress? Gigi looked a little guilty. She averted her gaze, not daring to meet Julian's eyes, but her words were still sharp. Clara left. She's mad that you've been ignoring her and only paying attention to Isabel, so she ran away from the wedding in a huff. Julian frowned. Ran away? Impossible. With Clara's personality, she would never do something like that. He knew Clara well. She was as gentle as a little rabbit. She never contradicted a single word he said, never opposed a single decision he made. Sometimes, even he felt he was being too harsh, yet she would still silently tolerate and understand him, responding with gentleness. Like 2 days ago, when he forced her to drink that agonizing medicine, he had actually regretted it afterward, feeling he had gone too far, but he was an incredibly proud man. Even knowing he was wrong, he couldn't bring himself to apologize to Clara. That was why he had arranged this wedding on their 5th anniversary. As a form of compensation, Clara is kind and gentle. She would never run away from her own wedding without a reason. Julian's face grew cold. He looked at Gigi with menacing eyes, his voice dangerously low. Gigi, what really happened? Tell me the truth. Gigi immediately panicked, her gaze darting to Isabel for help. Seeing this, Isabel slowly walked over, took Julian's hand, and cooed in a soft, gentle voice. Julian, it's my birthday today. Can't you just focus on celebrating with me and ignore everything else? Isabel was still wearing that poofy white wedding dress. Julian recognized it at once. It was the dress he had custom-made for Clara. Why are you wearing that dress? Julian exclaimed. That's the dress I had made for Clara. Isabel immediately looked wronged. Julian, what are you talking about? Didn't you have this dress made for me? Huh? Julian let out a cold laugh. Isabel, don't tell me you're foolish enough to still believe I'm hung up on a washed-up divorcee like you. Isabel's face turned deathly pale, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. She asked, trembling, Julian, what are you saying? I don't understand. You don't understand. Then let me explain it to you, word by word. Julian's lips twisted into a smile that was more of a snarl. Isabel, you're nothing but a used-up has-been now. Do you really think you're still worthy of being with me? Don't be ridiculous. You're not worthy. The blow was so sudden that Isabel couldn't process it. Her face ashen, she shook her head and stumbled backward. No, impossible. You still love me. I called you, and you immediately rushed to the airport to pick me up. You brought me to your home, to stand up for me. You even forced Clara to drink that painful poison. You love me. You must love me. If you didn't love me, why would you do all that? Why? Isabel was hysterical, on the verge of a complete breakdown, but Julian just laughed coldly, looking down on her like an untouchable emperor, his eyes filled with contempt. Still don't get it. I did all of that just to get revenge on you. I once loved you so much. I was willing to give you everything, but you dumped me without a second thought for some worthless artist abroad, and blocked all my contact information. Do you know how I survived that time after you left me? Do you know how much pain I was in? In that moment, all traces of love in Julian's eyes were gone, replaced by a festering, monstrous hatred. From that moment on, I swore that I would make you suffer twice the pain you caused me. And when I found out how miserable your life was after you got married, you can't imagine how happy I was. I wanted to buy a plane ticket right then, fly to you, and say to your face, Isabel, you deserved it. But I held back, because a simple unhappy marriage wasn't enough to quell my rage. Besides, your miserable marriage wasn't my doing. No matter how much you suffered, I wouldn't get any satisfaction from it. So I swooped in when you were at your most desperate and helpless. I pretended to support you, encourage you, love you unconditionally, just to give you the courage to divorce your useless husband. Isabel's eyes widened in disbelief. So all of this was just to get revenge on me? That's right, Julian admitted without hesitation. My original plan was to create the illusion that I was madly in love with you. Then, on your birthday, I'd have Gigi take you to try on a wedding dress, making you think I was going to propose today. But in reality, this wedding was for Clara. Clara was supposed to be the star tonight. In truth, Julian had ordered 2 wedding dresses. They were initially supposed to be identical, but after they were made, his assistant reminded him, Mr. Fu, no woman wants to wear the same dress as someone else at her own wedding. If you want to give your wife a surprise, it's best not to order two identical dresses. A kind dress is what makes a bride feel special on her wedding day. Julian thought the assistant made a good point, so he changed his mind and had the designer create a different dress for Isabel. According to his plan, he was supposed to humiliate Isabel at this wedding, then turn around, take Clara's hand, and present her with a magnificent ceremony. Isabel would be forced to watch with envy and regret, spending the rest of her life regretting that she hadn't chosen him. But why, when he walked into the hall with flowers in hand, was his bride missing? And why was the dress meant for his bride now on Isabel? Gigi. Julian whirled around, glaring at his sister. What is going on? You'd better give me a reasonable explanation. Gigi was terrified. She never would have guessed that the person her brother truly loved was Clara. Did that mean all her efforts today had backfired? Julian hadn't told Gigi about his revenge plan. He had only instructed her to take Isabel for a dress fitting in the morning, and then to take Clara for a fitting in the afternoon. So Gigi had naturally assumed that the whole 5th wedding anniversary and make-up wedding for Clara was a sham. Her dear brother must have wanted to propose to Isabel on her birthday, in front of everyone. That's why he had called her so early, urging her to take Isabel to try on dresses. As for Clara, her brother probably wanted to take this opportunity to humiliate her and make her leave on her own. With that in mind, Gigi had taken it upon herself to have someone place a bucket of cold water over the ballroom door to play a little prank on Clara. The wedding dress was also a result of Gigi's blundering. The dress Clara was wearing was clearly much more expensive than the one Isabel had tried on in the morning, so Gigi naturally assumed the bridal shop had mixed up the two dresses. So, while the makeup artist was busy with Clara, Gigi stormed off to find the owner of the bridal shop and threw a massive tantrum, demanding to know why they had mixed up the dresses. And because Julian had initially ordered two identical dresses, the shop owner was also a bit unsure. Did Mr. Fu change his mind again and want two identical dresses now? Fortunately, they had indeed made two of the dress meant for Clara, so the shop owner quickly brought out the other one. Gigi thought that an identical dress would be an even bigger blow to Clara, the substitute, so her anger quickly subsided. She had the shop send the dress to Isabel as quickly as possible. After all this, not only did Gigi not realize something was wrong, she was quite pleased with herself. Good thing I'm so clever and noticed the dress mix up. Otherwise, at the wedding, the star of the show, Isabel, would be wearing a plain dress, while the imposter, Clara, would be wearing one studded with 999 real diamonds. How would that look? Hee, I did such a great job. When my brother sees me, he's going to praise me so much. Maybe he'll even give me some expensive, beautiful diamond jewelry. Gigi had been feeling smug all day, waiting for Julian's praise. She never expected that instead of praise, she would be met with his towering rage. Gigi, don't make me ask a third time. What did you do to Clara? Julian's gaze was as sharp as a knife. He demanded, word by word, where did she go? Gigi, of course, didn't dare to tell the truth. She hung her head, racking her brain for a lie, but the next second, she heard Julian's cold, threatening tone. You'd better tell me the truth. Don't force me to check the security footage. That did it. Gigi completely caved. After all, if he checked the footage, everything she had done would be laid bare for him to see. If she confessed herself, she could at least omit some details and paint herself in a slightly better light. So Gigi obediently recounted what had happened. Brother, I don't know who was so malicious as to put a bucket of cold water on the door. When sister-in-law opened the door, she got drenched, and then everyone else started laughing at her. She couldn't take it, so she ran away. I tried to stop her, but I couldn't. Julian was furious. He shot a vicious glare at Gigi. I'll deal with you after I find Clara. With that, Julian pulled out his phone and dialed Clara's number. He had assumed that all he had to do was call her, coax her a little, and she would come back to him, as obedient and gentle as ever. But to his disbelief, he called several times, and Clara didn't answer. What's going on? Clara isn't answering my calls. Julian's brow furrowed. Could it be that she doesn't have her phone with her? That makes sense. You can't carry a phone in a wedding dress. Clara would never not answer my calls. Her phone must not be with her. That's why no one is picking up. Even now, Julian couldn't fathom that he might lose Clara. In his eyes, Clara was a little pet that would come when called and leave when dismissed. A pet could not survive without its owner. Their eyes and hearts were filled only with their owner. They loved their owner with all their being, and no matter how cruelly their owner treated them, they would never leave. Clara probably didn't go far. She must be nearby. After a moment of thought, Julian calmly issued his orders. Mr. Davis, get the hotel manager. Have him gather all the staff and search for Clara outside. You have 1 hour. You must bring Clara back to me, safely, otherwise, you'll face the consequences. Mr. Davis quickly gathered everyone and began a city-wide search for Clara. Gigi also volunteered to help, but not out of concern for Clara. She was afraid that when Clara returned, she would tattle on her to Julian, so she decided to strike first. She had to find Clara first, threaten her, and make her keep her mouth shut. However, an hour passed, and Mr. Davis came back empty-handed. Julian flew into a rage, but it was useless. As night fell and Clara was still missing, Julian had no choice but to gather more people to search for her. Even the friends and family who had come for his and Clara's wedding were roped into the search. Julian himself didn't stay idle. He searched with the main group while constantly sending messages to Clara. Clara, where are you? Reply immediately when you see this. Clara, I know you've been through a lot, but please believe me, there's a reason for everything. Call me back, and I'll explain it all to you. Clara, I stopped liking Isabel a long time ago. It was all an act. Do you understand? It was an act. It wasn't real. At first, Julian tried to coax Clara gently, but after several messages went unanswered, he gradually lost his patience. Clara, don't push your luck. I know you're nearby. Are you enjoying watching me search for you like this? I'm giving you 1 hour. Meet me at the ballroom immediately. If you arrive at the ballroom within an hour, our wedding will proceed as planned, and I will overlook everything you've done today. But if you still haven't shown up in an hour, then you can forget about ever setting foot in the Fu family home again. After sending the last threatening message, Julian felt confident. This would work. Clara loved him so much. After reading his messages, she would definitely rush back to the ballroom, head down, eyes red, and carefully apologize, begging for his forgiveness, just like she always did. At this thought, Julian finally felt a sense of relief. He stopped searching and, leaving everyone else behind, leisurely returned to the ballroom. By now, everyone was out looking for Clara. The ballroom was empty except for Isabel. Seeing that Isabel hadn't left, Julian sneered. You still haven't scrammed. What? Are you planning to stay for Maya and Clara's wedding? Isabel burst out laughing. It was a crazed, unhinged sound, as if the shock had been too much. Tears streamed down her face as she cackled. Ha 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 ha. Julian, you don't actually think Clara is coming back, do you? Of course she'll be back, Julian said, a confident smile on his face. Clara loves me more than anyone. No matter what I do, she will always forgive me. She is the best woman in the world. Hearing this, Isabel's laughter grew even wilder. Ha 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 ha. Julian, and you had the nerve to call me a fool. You're the biggest fool in the world. No woman, no matter how tolerant, would put up with her husband bringing another woman into their home, especially not his first love. Why was Clara so tolerant? Why didn't she care when I moved in? Ha 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 ha. It's because she doesn't love you anymore. Because she doesn't love you. She doesn't care. Because she doesn't love you. She can tolerate it. The confident smirk on Julian's face vanished, replaced by a dark, thunderous expression. He stalked towards Isabel, his hand shooting out to grab her by the throat. Bitch, shut up. Don't pretend you know anything about Clara. A cheap slut like you doesn't understand what true love is. I've lived with Clara for so many years. Do you think I wouldn't know if she loves me or not? Julian's grip was immense. Isabel's face quickly turned red. She could barely breathe, but she still laughed in defiance. Ha ha ha. Julian, since you know Clara so well, let me ask you. Clara has been gone for so long. Do you know where she's hiding? Do you know where she goes when she's sad? Do you know what she likes to eat? Do you know her hobbies? The barrage of questions silenced Julian. He couldn't answer a single one. Clara knew all of his preferences. She knew what he liked to eat, his favorite places to go, what time he slept, what time he woke up, which side of the bed he preferred, his little bedtime habits. Clara knew everything, but he knew nothing about her. He didn't even know where she would go when she was heartbroken. Ha 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 ha. Is this what you call true love? It's pathetic. Isabel spat in his face. I really admire Clara. How did she put up with you for so many years? If I were her, I would have run away long ago. Shut up. Julian, humiliated and enraged, slapped Isabel across the face. It was a vicious blow. Isabel crumpled to the ground, a red handprint quickly appearing on her cheek, but she still laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha. Julian, Clara is never coming back. You can wait here. You can wait a lifetime. She will never come back. Julian was about to explode. All his life, he had maintained a gentlemanly demeanor, never raising a hand to a woman. For the first time, he lost control. Not only did he slap Isabel, he began to beat her. "Shut up, you slut. Don't you dare tarnish Clara with your filthy mouth. Clara will come back. Clara loves me. Clara is the person who loves me most in this world. You don't know anything. You're just a whore who sleeps with anyone. What the hell do you know about love?" Julian, in a fit of impotent rage, grabbed Isabel's head and slammed it against the wall again and again, until her head was bleeding. Fortunately, his assistant, Mr. Davis, returned just in time and managed to stop him. Otherwise, Isabel might not have survived. Clara was still missing, and now Isabel was half dead. Mr. Davis was exhausted. "This job is impossible." Isabel was taken away in an ambulance. Julian sat, dazed, at the entrance of the ballroom. He stared at his broken, expensive watch and muttered to himself, 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. Why isn't Clara back yet? Didn't I tell you to come back to me within an hour? Why aren't you listening to me? Clara always listened to him. So why, at the very moment he needed her most, did she suddenly stop listening? Right, Clara doesn't have her phone. It must be because she doesn't have her phone, so she didn't see my messages. Just a little longer, a little longer. Clara will come back. She will definitely come back. Looking at the nearly deranged Julian, Mr. Davis sighed in resignation. "Mr. Fu, I found some information related to the madam," he said gravely. Julian immediately looked up, grabbing Mr. Davis with a look of pure joy. "Clara, you found Clara?" Mr. Davis gave an awkward smile. "No, but I found out that this morning, the madam donated all of her belongings to the Sunshine Orphanage. Among the things she donated was the engagement ring you gave her." Julian froze. In that instant, it was as if all the life had drained out of him. He could barely understand what Mr. Davis was saying. What did you say?" After a long silence, Julian finally managed to regain a sliver of composure. He asked, with great difficulty, "What do you mean?" "Clara donated all her things to the orphanage." Mr. Davis didn't know how to answer. He could only bow his head in silence. "I'm asking you a question," Julian exploded, grabbing Mr. Davis by the collar and screaming, "Speak. Why would Clara donate all her things to an orphanage? Who gave her permission? Why didn't you stop her? You useless bunch of fools. What good are you to me? Get out. Go find Clara for me. If you can't find her, then don't bother coming back at all." Julian was like a madman, his confident, arrogant, proud demeanor completely shattered. In that moment, he finally, with profound and terrifying clarity, understood. He had lost Clara. For the next few months, Julian searched for Clara relentlessly. He went to her hometown, met her old teachers, classmates, and neighbors. He visited everyone who had ever known her, hoping to find some clue about her whereabouts. In his endless search, he slowly began to understand Clara. He learned that she had grown up in a single-parent household. Her father had abandoned her when she was very young, leaving her with a deep-seated insecurity. Lacking love, she developed a people-pleasing personality, always subconsciously trying to appease everyone around her. He realized that her tolerance for him had never been because of love. It was because life had been so hard, she had endured so much, that she had simply become accustomed to suffering in silence. And yet, despite a life full of misfortune, she remained kind. After marrying him, she donated to the orphanage every month and volunteered there every week. The children at the orphanage adored her. "Clara, sister loves the color blue, because it's the color of the sea." She said she loves the sea, that it represents freedom and romance. A child at the orphanage told Julian, smiling brightly as he drew a picture of the ocean. "Mister, are you Clara, sister's friend? When is she coming back? I drew the sea for her." A bitter taste filled Julian's mouth. Even a child at an orphanage knew Clara loved the sea, loved the color blue, but he had no idea, as much as he hated to admit it. Isabel was right. He truly didn't understand love. In his search for Clara, Julian visited every coastal area in the country, but still found nothing. As he searched, a terrifying thought began to take root in his mind. What if Clara is no longer alive? Otherwise, why had he searched for so long without a single clue? And before she left, she had not only donated all her valuables, but she had also burned everything that was worthless, everything not worth donating, burned it all to ashes, leaving nothing for him. At this thought, Julian clutched his chest, a heart-wrenching pain stealing his breath. "Clara, how could you be so cruel?" Julian laughed bitterly. "You burned everything. You didn't even leave a single strand of hair. Before, the house was filled with your presence. Even when you weren't there, I could feel you. But now," he bit his lip. unable to say the words. Now there was nothing. He couldn't even look at her things to remember her. She had burned everything. In the house they had shared for 5 years, there was not a single trace of her left. Clara, you are so heartless. Julian clutched his heart, his eyes reddening as he spoke to himself. But no matter how heartless, how cruel you are, I can't bring myself to blame you, because all of this is my own damn fault. By now, Julian knew about the death of Clara's mother. He knew, with painful clarity, what kind of monstrous things he had done while Clara was grieving for her only family. He had brought Isabel into their home. He had forced Clara to clean Isabel's room, to avenge Isabel. He had forced Clara to drink that agonizing poison. His actions were worse than those of a beast. Ha 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 ha. Recalling his past misdeeds, Julian descended into madness once more, laughing wildly as tears streamed down his face. Julian Fu, you deserve it. You deserve it. Isabel was right. You deserve it. Unlike the self-destructing Julian, Clara's life was peaceful and serene. She had no idea that Julian was frantically searching the world for her. She had snapped her SIM card in half long ago, and deleted all her social media accounts. All the calls and messages he had sent, she had received none of them. Of course, she had no desire to receive them. Her past life was a terrible nightmare. She had fought with all her might to escape it, and she had no intention of ever being dragged back. She had left her home, flown over 7,000 kilometers to a foreign land, all to start anew, to abandon everything and start over. And among the things she had abandoned, of course, was Julian Fu. Clara, I remember you studied art, didn't you? Her Aunt Evelyn asked with a smile at dinner. I've seen you sketching nearby lately. You've drawn some beautiful landscapes. Your uncle and I absolutely love them. Your uncle thinks it's a shame for such wonderful art to just gather dust at home. He wants to fund an exhibition for you. What do you think? An exhibition? Clara's eyes widened, though her expression was one of shock. The small glint in her eyes revealed a deep, hidden excitement. For an artist, an exhibition was not just a validation of their talent, but a chance to show their work to the world. From the moment she started studying art, Clara had dreamed of one day having her own exhibition. But exhibitions were expensive. Having grown up in a poor, single-parent home, Clara had developed a cautious nature. After a brief moment of excitement, her brow furrowed with worry. An exhibition must cost a lot of money, right? She asked anxiously. I don't have a job right now. I'm not earning anything. I already feel guilty for living off you. To have Uncle spend more money on an exhibition for me. What are you talking about? Her aunt interrupted. If anyone should feel guilty, it's me. If I had contacted your mother sooner, you and she wouldn't have suffered so much back home. Maybe your mother wouldn't have passed away so early. At this, her aunt's eyes reddened. Aunt Evelyn had a painful past. She and Clara's mother were born in a deeply patriarchal family, in the mountains. Their very names were a testament to their parents' desperate desire for a son. Unlike her gentle, submissive sister, Evelyn had been a stubborn girl from a young age. She was like a weed, tough and resilient. When her parents tried to force her to drop out of school and marry, she refused, enduring countless beatings but never bowing her head. In the end, she ran away from home in the middle of the night, escaping the mountains. The night I ran away, your mother found me in the pouring rain. I thought she was there to drag me back. My heart was breaking, but she wasn't. Evelyn had once told Clara, crying on a sleepless night as she recounted their past. She found me in the rain and gave me all the money she had. I remember it clearly, 5,033 yuan. It was all the money she had earned from a year of hard work. Your mother dropped out of school early to work, but every penny she earned had to be handed over to our vampire of a father. At the end of the year, if she was short even 100 yuan, she would be beaten. But now, she was giving me all the money she had. She shoved the money into my hands and pushed me towards the bus station. She said, go far away, and never come back. So I left. I changed my name. I hated my old name. Every time someone called me by it, it felt like a slap in the face. I changed my name to Evelyn, and I worked while I studied. I seized every opportunity one could. University, grad school abroad, starting a company with a partner. I finally managed to leave the past behind and start a new life of my own. Here, Evelyn paused, gripping Clara's hand, her voice filled with regret. The only thing I regret is not going back to find your mother sooner. I always thought, when I'm successful, I'll go back and get her, bring her abroad to live a good life. But I never expected. The greatest pain in the world is perhaps achieving success, only for the one person you wanted to repay to have already left. Not having waited for that day. Every time she mentioned her sister, Evelyn's eyes would fill with tears. Her sister's death had left her with endless regret, but though her sister was gone, she had left behind a daughter. When I was young, my parents only cared about my useless brother. They wouldn't let me go to school. I fought back, so they cut off my living expenses, refused to pay my tuition, trying to force me to quit, Evelyn said, her eyes red. Back then, it was your mother who secretly worked several extra jobs to pay for my living expenses and tuition. To me, your mother was like my own mother. She raised me. My parents never raised me for a single day, but my sister did. So Clara, don't you ever feel like an outsider. I don't have any children. From now on, you are my child. This is your home. If you want anything, just ask. An art exhibition is nothing. Even if you wanted the stars from the sky, your aunt would get them for you. Evelyn's words brought a rare warmth to the love-starved Clara. Evelyn had escaped the mountains and started a new life. Clara wanted to be like her aunt. She wanted to become stronger, more confident, and embrace a new life with a new attitude. Aunt Evelyn, I want to have an exhibition, Clara said, looking up at her aunt, her gaze firmer than ever before. But you and Uncle can't pay for it. I'm an adult. Even as family, I would feel guilty for leeching off you. Consider the money a loan from you and Uncle. After the exhibition, when I've made some money, I'll pay you back. Hearing this, Evelyn's eyes curved into a beautiful smile. Now that's more like my niece, Clara. Your paintings are so beautiful. They're sure to be a huge success, her uncle added, praising her without reservation. I have complete faith in you. Go for it. You're going to be a very famous artist. With her aunt and uncle's help, Clara's first art exhibition was soon underway. At first, Clara was worried no one would come. After all, she was an unknown art student. After graduating, she had married Julian and become a full-time housewife. She had never had an exhibition, never sold a single painting. She had no fame, no reputation, either at home or abroad. Could an exhibition by someone like her possibly succeed? In the days leading up to the exhibition, Clara was so anxious she couldn't sleep, and her hair was falling out in clumps. But she had clearly underestimated her aunt and uncle's connections and influence in this country. On the day of the exhibition, high society figures from all walks of life attended. The exhibition was grand and elegant, the guests sophisticated, and the paintings on the walls were widely acclaimed. Several paintings sold for high prices right at the opening. Go say hello, Evelyn said, finding Clara and gesturing with her chin towards a handsome young man in a black suit. That's Mr. Leo Hua, a tycoon in the jewelry industry. He just bought 5 of your paintings at a high price. Evelyn then secretly held up 5 fingers and whispered, 500,000 each. In US dollars, $500,000. That was nearly 4 million yuan. Clara was stunned. She never would have dreamed her paintings could sell for such an astronomical price. This Mr. Hua had bought 5 of her paintings at such a high price. It was only right that she go and greet such a major client. So, accompanied by her aunt, she approached him. Mr. Hua, long time no see, Evelyn said, clearly acquainted with him. I never expected a busy man like you would have time to support my niece's exhibition. Leo Hua smiled faintly. I happen to have the day off. This is my niece, Clara, Evelyn said, introducing her. She's a very talented artist. All the paintings in this exhibition are hers. Clara blushed at her aunt's praise. Aunt Evelyn, don't tease me. I was just painting for fun. She is indeed very talented, Leo said with a smile. He turned to look at a landscape painting behind him, and offered a thoughtful critique, especially this one. Although it's a painting of mountains, and the color palette is warm, for some reason, it gives me a sense of vast emptiness, of a lonely heart. It's very moving. Clara was taken aback. She hadn't expected him to understand her painting. In fact, most of her works were like this. The colors were vibrant and intense, but the emotions they expressed were not of noise and brightness, but of human loneliness, like that song she couldn't remember the name of. The more clamor, the more loneliness, the more prosperity, the more solitude. In this world, so many people come and go every day, but every heart remains closed, like a deserted island that no one can truly approach. Clara had been surrounded by this sense of loneliness since she was a child. The more lively, the more crowded, the more boisterous her surroundings, the more alone she felt. I've heard that every painting an artist creates expresses their state of mind at a particular moment, but it seems that every one of Miss Clara's paintings, beneath their bright and exaggerated colors, subtly reveals a sense of vastness and solitude, Leo said, his gaze returning to Clara. Miss Clara is so young and so beautiful. How could she have such a melancholic state of mind? This man had a pair of incredibly beautiful eyes. They were cool and deep. When he looked at you without speaking, you couldn't help but feel that he could see right through all your pretenses, directly into your soul. Clara looked away, not wanting to meet the gaze of such a formidable man. Well, I've also heard that the reason a buyer is willing to pay a high price for an artist's work is often because they empathize with the emotions the artist has expressed. Mr. Hua, you don't look very old either, and you're so handsome, and so successful. Why would you empathize with such a melancholic state of mind? She didn't want to be seen through by a stranger, so she put on a prickly facade and threw the question back at him. She expected this powerful man to be slightly displeased. After all, given his status, few people would dare to speak to him like that. Julian was like that. When she was with Julian, she had to agree with everything he said, speak cautiously, and never contradict him, or he would be upset. Before, Clara was terrified of upsetting Julian. More accurately, she was terrified of upsetting anyone. She had a habit of people pleasing, making others happy at her own expense. But now, she refused to be like that anymore. She had made a clean break with the past. She would face her new life with a new attitude. So, if this Mr. Hua was displeased, so be it. The conversation would end, and as an introvert, she didn't want to talk to him for too long anyway. However, to Clara's surprise, after hearing her words, Leo didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled with perfect grace. Thank you for the compliment. Huh. Clara was flustered. Her mouth moved faster than her brain. I didn't compliment you. The smile in Leo's eyes deepened. Miss Clara, you're quite forgetful. Didn't you just compliment me? Young, handsome, and successful. Clara was at a loss for words. She had assumed Leo was the cold, aloof, humorless type. She never expected he was actually quite witty. Then should I thank you for complimenting my beauty just now? Clara couldn't help but smile. At this, a smile touched Leo's brow as well. You finally smiled. Clara paused, her cheeks turning slightly red. Haven't I been smiling the whole time? When her aunt brought her over to greet him, she had maintained a smile. Smiling was basic etiquette. Although she came from a poor background and rarely interacted with high society, she knew that much. Before, you were just smiling politely. Leo's dark eyes held a smile as he looked at her. Now, you're truly, happily smiling. A small stir in Clara's heart. It was strange. She had only just met this Mr. Hua, yet he seemed to see through her every move. The private feelings she had hidden in her heart since she was a child, he seemed to be able to read them all. It was their first meeting, yet it felt as if they had known each other for a long time. You should smile more often. You're very beautiful when you smile, Leo said. When he complimented someone, he would look them in the eye, giving the impression that he was being very sincere. Clara was a little embarrassed by his praise. She lowered her head slightly, not daring to meet his gaze. Thank you, you too. After she spoke, Clara suddenly remembered something. She turned to her left, and sure enough, someone was missing. Where was her aunt? Hadn't her aunt been the one to bring her over to greet Leo? How had she disappeared in the blink of an eye? Just noticed your aunt is gone. Leo was amused by her reaction. He silently moved closer, his tall frame perfectly enveloping her small one. You're a little slow, aren't you? Or was all your attention on me, so you didn't notice anyone else? Clara's face flushed. Who said I was looking for my aunt? I wasn't. I noticed she slipped away a long time ago. I was just looking for. Just then, a waiter came by with a tray of desserts. Clara quickly picked one up and, her face red, tried to save face. I was looking for something to eat. She hurriedly stuffed the dessert into her mouth, her cheeks puffed out, making her look like a little hamster hoarding food. It was inexplicably cute. Leo couldn't help but laugh. Slow down. No one's going to steal it from you. Watching the two of them getting along so well from a distance, Aunt Evelyn couldn't help but smile like a proud mother. Our Clara is so charming. She's already attracted a suitor, she said triumphantly to her husband. But even though Leo is excellent, it's not good for a woman to get married too early. And Clara, that child, she lives too rigidly, too repressed. That's not good. I need to have a good talk with Clara tonight. Teach her some of the relaxed, joyful ways of living here. Let her enjoy the beauty of dating, not rush into marriage. Let those suitors pursue her for a while. Enjoy being treated like a princess. Her husband just laughed. Don't you go corrupting Clara. Get out of here. Evelyn gave him a playful kick. What do you mean, corrupting? I'm teaching Clara to enjoy life. The exhibition was a huge success. Clara had displayed 51 paintings, and in one day, 33 had been sold. Most were priced between $10,000 and $50,000, but the 5 that Leo bought were each a staggering $500,000. Leo paid 10 times the price for your paintings, Evelyn said that evening, tallying up the exhibition's earnings while teasing her niece. Clara, do you think he's interested in you? Definitely not, Clara said, her mind entirely on the numbers, oblivious to her aunt's teasing. I think he's just a flirt. He sees a pretty girl and wants to hit on her. Evelyn's eyes widened in shock. Are you kidding? Leo is famous in our circle for being an ice mountain. His private life is impeccable. He never associates with unsavory women, and he never has a female companion at important events. Huh? Clara finally looked up from the calculator. Then why did he? She stopped herself, realizing what she was about to say. Then why did he start flirting with me right away? And so much. Even though Clara didn't finish, Evelyn knew what she was thinking. A mischievous, knowing smile spread across her face again. Why did he what? Did he flirt with you? Clara's face flushed crimson. She picked up the calculator and a stack of bills, trying to distract her aunt. Oh, Aunt Evelyn, look. The catering from this restaurant was so expensive. Just one day of pastries cost $10,000. It's a Michelin-starred restaurant. Of course it's expensive, Evelyn replied casually, then immediately returned to her gossip. I think Leo is definitely interested in you. He'll probably ask you out again soon. If he does, you should go. A woman's youth is so short. You should enjoy love while you're young. Of course, just enjoy the love. Don't rush into marriage. You just came to live with your aunt. I can't bear to see you get married off so soon. Clara was torn between laughter and exasperation. Just dating without getting married. Isn't that just playing around? That's the old way of thinking. It's not like that here, Evelyn said with a smile. People here value freedom. They're not as eager for marriage. Many couples here live together for decades without getting married, even if they have 3 or 4 children, with the oldest already in college. She paused, then amended. Of course, I'm not saying marriage is bad. It can be quite romantic to naturally fall into marriage while dating. My point is, don't treat marriage as a task. Don't think, I'm dating him, so we have to have a result. Love is beautiful. You're so young and pretty now. You should enjoy the beauty of love. Don't put up such high walls. Don't refuse people's advances. You only live once. Don't be timid. Do whatever you want. Don't worry. Your aunt has your back. Clara knew what her aunt was doing. She saw that Clara had been staying home, not going out, not interacting with anyone. She was worried Clara would become withdrawn and develop psychological problems. She was encouraging her to go out, enjoy love, enjoy her youth, and not let one failed marriage close her off from the world. So she smiled and nodded. Okay, since you said okay, then if Leo asks you out, you'll definitely go, right? Evelyn asked with a knowing look. Clara nodded, completely unaware that she was walking into a trap. If he asks me out, I'll definitely go. Great. The moment the words left her mouth, Evelyn cheered. Leo just messaged me. He wants to invite you to a yacht party. I've already accepted for you. Clara, Aunt Evelyn, you tricked me. Clara's exhibition was a huge success. Not only did many high-profile guests attend, but her aunt also invited numerous media outlets to help with publicity. As a result, right after the exhibition, it was featured in the art sections of major news outlets. One reporter even dubbed Clara the rising star of the art world. Clara knew that Julian never read the art section of the news. He looked down on artists, thinking they were all useless, and their so-called art was just overpriced trash that only fools would buy. So Clara thought Julian would never see the news, and therefore wouldn't discover her whereabouts. She even thought with a self-deprecating laugh, even if Julian did see it, it wouldn't matter. He's probably already married to Isabel. He doesn't care where I am now. Unfortunately, Clara was wrong. In the months since she disappeared, Julian had been searching for her like a madman, a workaholic who valued his company more than his own life. He had completely abandoned his work to search the world for Clara. His obsession with her had reached a fever pitch. He ignored everyone's advice, his parents' scoldings. He wanted nothing else. He just wanted to see Clara one more time. He used to despise art, especially painters, because the man Isabel had married was a foreign painter. But ever since he learned that Clara had studied art in college, he no longer held any aversion to painters. He even started paying attention to art news, hoping to learn more about art, so that when he found Clara, he could show her that he had been trying to get closer to her, to love the things she loved. Clara, today is the 151st day since you left me. Where did you go? Do you know how much I miss you? In these 100+ days, I've done a lot of self-reflection. I was a bastard before. I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I have no other wish now. I just want to see you one more time. I'm begging you. Please stop hiding from me. Come back to me. I can't hold on much longer. For 151 days, Julian had sent messages to Clara almost every day, but every message was like a stone thrown into the sea. He never received a single reply. Julian was on the verge of a breakdown. He sometimes thought, what if Clara is really gone? What if I never see her again? Did I really, because of a stupid act of revenge, lose the person I love most in this world? Just as these thoughts were about to drive him mad, he saw the news report from the foreign media about Clara's exhibition. There was a picture of Clara in the article. She was wearing a pale green cheapao, standing next to a landscape painting, a faint smile on her face. She looked so serene, so elegant. In an instant, every muscle in Julian's body tensed. He stared at the photo, not daring to blink, as if afraid that if he did, the Clara in the picture would disappear. Someone, get in here. After a brief moment of excitement, Julian screamed, Mr. Davis, I want all the information about this exhibition. Now, get me all the information related to this exhibition. Mr. Davis was efficient. Within an hour, he had found out where the exhibition was held and who had organized it. The organizer is a woman named Eileen Evanoff, but according to my investigation, this Eileen Evanoff should be the madam, he reported gravely. This should be her English name. We can now confirm that the madam is in M. Country. After searching for so long, he had finally found her. Julian was so moved he was on the verge of tears. Without a moment's hesitation, he ordered Mr. Davis to buy him a plane ticket to M. Country. Clara, thank you. Thank you for not giving up on your life. Thank you for being alive. Clara, wait for me. I'm coming for you now. This time, I will never let you go. And I will never let you have the chance to leave me again. After arriving in M. Country, Julian immediately went to the gallery where Clara's exhibition was held. He went down the street, from shop to shop, asking about her. Finally, as night fell, he found out where Clara was now living. Julian thanked the person profusely and rushed to the address. He had assumed that Clara, alone in a foreign country, would be living in a run-down place. However, when he followed the address, he found himself in front of a luxurious mansion. This kind of location, this kind of mansion, would cost hundreds of millions. How could Clara afford to live in a place like this? Julian frowned. Did I get the wrong address? Despite his doubts, Julian went up and knocked on the door. Aunt Evelyn opened the door. She had never seen Julian before, so her initial attitude was quite friendly. Hello, may I help you? I'm looking for Eileen Evanoff, Julian replied in fluent English. Her Chinese name is Clara Lin. I heard she lives here. Oh, you're a friend of Clara's. Evelyn smiled brightly. When did Clara make such a handsome friend? And she didn't even tell me. That's not very nice of her. Hearing that she knew Clara, Julian finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although he didn't know how Clara had ended up in a mansion after going abroad, at least he was in the right place. Clara lived here. He had finally found her. Is Clara here now? Julian asked, a little eagerly. I really want to see her. Can you call her out? Unfortunately, Clara is out at a party, Evelyn said with regret. What's your name? Would you like to leave a phone number? I can have Clara contact you when she gets back. Julian was about to say his name, but he stopped himself. Clara was hiding from him. What if he said his name and scared her away? He had worked so hard to find her. He couldn't lose her again because of a moment of carelessness. It's all right. If Clara isn't here, I'll just wait for her to come back, Julian said with a bitter smile. I really need to see her. The fact that he wouldn't even give his name made Evelyn suspicious. Could he be some kind of stalker? There were a lot of weirdos abroad. It was better to be cautious. Suspecting Julian might be a stalker, Evelyn didn't invite him in. She discreetly closed the door, then took a photo of him through the window and sent it to Clara. Clara, this person came to the house looking for you. Do you know him? At that moment, Clara was on a date with Leo. Seeing the photo from her aunt, the smile on her face instantly froze. Julian, how did he find her here? Clara, what's wrong? Leo keenly noticed the change in her expression and asked with concern. You look pale. The moonlight was hazy, the candlelight dinner romantic, but Clara was in no mood to enjoy it now. I'm sorry, something has come up at home. I have to go back, she said, rising gracefully and giving Leo an apologetic look. What was meant to be, was meant to be. There was no escaping it. Since Julian had come looking for her, she would go back and see him. She would make things clear to him, then tell him to get lost and stop disturbing her new life. Leo, of course, wasn't comfortable letting her go alone, so he also stood up. Then I'll take you home. No, Clara quickly refused. I can go back by myself. Although she and Leo hadn't officially confirmed their relationship, they had been on many dates. Back home, they would be considered a couple. Clara did not want to face a showdown between her current and former love interests, so, despite Leo's insistence, she refused his offer and took a taxi home by herself. After getting out of the car, Clara immediately saw Julian standing under a streetlight, smoking quietly, and Julian quickly saw her. He was instantly overcome with emotion. Clara, tossing aside his half-smoked cigarette, Julian flew towards her, pulling her into a tight embrace. Thank God, Clara, I finally found you. Do you know how hard I looked for you? I nearly turned the whole world upside down. 153 days. Clara, you've been gone for 153 days. As he spoke, Julian couldn't control his tears. 153 days didn't sound like a long time, just half a year, but every minute, every second of those 153 days had felt like an eternity to Julian. He hadn't understood before, but after Clara left, he realized that missing someone could make time stretch on for so long. Clara, don't leave me again. Never leave me again. Julian's voice was choked with sobs. I was wrong. I admit it. I shouldn't have brought Isabel home. I shouldn't have treated you like that, but it was all fake. I was just doing it to get revenge on Isabel. The person I truly love is you. Having finally seen Clara, Julian couldn't wait to pour out everything he had been wanting to say. He told her about his entire plan, told her that the wedding was real, that he had genuinely wanted to give her a magnificent, once-in-a-lifetime wedding, but that idiot Gigi had messed everything up. I punished Gigi severely, Julian said. I cut off her allowance for a year, grounded her for a month, and sternly warned her never to be disrespectful to you again. After a long, rambling speech, Julian held Clara's shoulders, his voice softening into a gentle, coaxing tone. Clara, I know what I did before was monstrous. I was wrong. I apologize. Forgive me, and come home with me. Okay, let's start over. Hearing Julian's words, Clara couldn't help but laugh. She never thought that in her lifetime, she would ever hear an apology from Julian Fu, and she never thought that she wouldn't care about his apology at all. She had loved him, with all her heart, with a reckless abandon. She had also hated him, hated his cruelty, his indifference, hated that he couldn't give her even a crumb of his love. She had once desperately hoped to hear him repent. 5 years, 5 whole years, she had given him her all, her youth, her vitality, all her passion and love, so much time, such intense feelings. Surely that deserved a sorry, but he had never apologized to her. Despite the countless cruel and excessive things he had done to her, he had never once apologized, not once. Now, he was finally apologizing, and Clara suddenly realized she no longer cared. After quietly listening to him finish, Clara replied flatly, Julian, we are divorced. I can't go back with you. The feelings I had for you were worn away by your day of neglect and torture. I stopped loving you a long time ago, so go back by yourself. I don't need you in the rest of my life, and I won't be accompanying you in yours. A few simple words, but they completely shattered Julian. His eyes widened in fury. No, what divorce? I don't agree. You tricked me into signing those papers. I didn't even look at them before I signed. Those divorce papers don't count. We are still husband and wife. You can't leave me. You can't leave me. Julian was in a frenzy, grabbing Clara's arm and roaring like a madman. Clara struggled, but she couldn't break free. And then, the madman started dragging her towards his car, trying to force her inside and take her away. In the nick of time, a tall, imposing figure appeared and decked Julian with a single punch. Clara, still in shock, looked up and saw a familiar face. Leo, what are you doing here? She asked, surprised. Leo moved to shield her. You looked so pale. I was worried about you, so I followed you. Damn it. Julian, knocked to the ground, stumbled back to his feet. Seeing Leo and Clara so close, he exploded with rage. Who the hell are you? Let go of my wife. He swung his fist at Leo. Leo was no pushover. He caught Julian's fist, then used a simple hold to pin him against the car. Wife. Huh, didn't you hear Clara? She's divorced you. Clara has nothing to do with you anymore. That sentence completely enraged Julian. He fought with all his might to break free from Leo's hold, and started brawling with him. Both men were trained fighters, and strong. It was an even match. Clara tried to break them up, but it was no use. Finally, her aunt and uncle came out. Her uncle claimed he was going to break up the fight, but as soon as he got there, he started helping Leo beat up Julian. Clara, I thought you were breaking up the fight. Why are you guys also taking sides? Her aunt was enjoying the show, cheering on her husband. Get him, beat that scumbag to death. That's what he gets for bullying our Clara. Clara, I'm so tired. I feel like I'm the only adult here. With her uncle's help, Julian was soon overpowered, beaten black and blue by the two strong men. Julian, go back to your country, Clara said flatly. When I needed you, you were never there. And now that I don't need you, you don't need to be here either. But Julian wouldn't give up. Despite his bloody face, he gritted his teeth. No, Clara, I worked so hard to find you. I'm not going back without you. Since I lost you, I'll win you back. As long as you're not married, I will never stop pursuing you, until you love me again. If this had been the past, Clara would have been moved by his words. But now, her heart was as still as water. She didn't care. Do whatever you want, she said coldly, then turned and walked away. In the time that followed, Julian did as he said. He began to pursue Clara relentlessly. He sent her a huge bouquet of roses every day, and every few days, he would send her jewelry and gifts, trying every trick in the book to win her over. But the roses were never accepted, and the gifts were all returned. Even so, Julian refused to give up. When gifts didn't work, he resorted to self-pity. He stood outside her house in a snowstorm, holding a boombox playing love songs, his lips turning purple from the cold, but he wouldn't leave. In response, Clara just coldly closed her window. Not only that, during this time, Clara continued to date Leo. Julian saw it countless times. Clara getting into Leo's car, having candlelight dinners with him, watching movies with him, and many nights, she stayed at Leo's house. Julian was going insane with rage, but he had no right to criticize her, because he and Clara were divorced, and he himself had, while they were still married, brought Isabel into their home and spent night after night in her room. After what he had done, what right did he have to judge Clara? As Clara and Leo's dates became more and more frequent, Julian finally understood, with a broken heart, that he would never win his Clara back, but he still wouldn't give up. He had said, as long as Clara wasn't married, he would keep pursuing her, though it was too late. He was willing, for the last time, to keep his promise. The vows he had made to Clara when they married, he had never once fulfilled. Now that they were divorced, he remembered the importance of keeping a promise, but it was too late. Julian persisted for a whole year. In that year, he tried every possible way to win Clara back, but in the end, all he got was a wedding invitation from Clara and Leo. I've completely lost you, haven't I? Julian laughed bitterly, even though he had known the answer for a long time. At this moment, it still felt like his heart was being ripped out. Clara smiled. Julian, you lost me a long time ago. Belated devotion is cheaper than dirt. As Clara had said, when she needed him, he was never there. And now that she no longer needed him, his presence was irrelevant. A year and a half ago, she had already taken back all the love she had ever given him. She didn't need him to accompany her for the rest of her life, but he had not yet emerged from the shadow of losing her. Watching Clara walk down the aisle in her wedding dress with Leo, Julian knew that he would never be able to escape this shadow. He had lost the person who loved him most in the world, and now, no matter what he did, he could never win her back. He would spend the rest of his life missing her, living in regret and pain. She had already left. In this world, there was no one left who could save him from this prison of love. However, he deserved no sympathy, because everything was his own damn fault. He deserved it.